announcing the arrival of the Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Nik Mahira binti Nik Muhammad, Deputy Vice Chancellor USA, respected Mr. Azrul Izham Hamzah, Deputy Director of AKEPT, and the Honorable Prof. Datuk Dr. Nur Azizi bin Ismail, Professor MGSEB, Universiti Malaysia Kelantan. Will the audience please rise? National Anthem Negara. Audience may sit. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. The Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Nik Mahira binti Nik Muhammad, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International, Universiti Malaysia Kelantan, respected Mr. Azrul Izham bin Hamzah, Deputy Director of Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEPT, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, the Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Nur Azizi bin Ismail, Professor, Malaysian Graduate School of Entrepreneurship and Business, MGSEB, Universiti Malaysia Kelantan, distinguished and respected scholars, experts, academic professionals, esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Business Acumen in Higher Education Leaders. Today, we are gathering here to explore the dynamic world of enriching and polishing future higher education leaders. Let's begin our program today with recitation of Doa. Please welcome.
Let us begin this with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق وناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله وأصحابه حق قدره ومقداره العظيم اللهم إنا نستحفظك ونستودعك أدياننا وأنفسنا وأموالنا وأهلنا وكل شيء أعطيتنا اللهم اجعل في كنفك وعياذك وجوارك وأمانك من كل شيطان مريد وجبار عنيد وذي عين وذي بغ ومن شر كل ذي شر إنك على كل شيء قدير. Ya Allah, Ya Rabbi, we gather here today to express gratitude upon your greatest gift towards us. In conjunction with this event, the Business Acumen in Higher Education Leaders, we ask for your help and guidance. Ya Allah, all sublimity is for you. At every incline and all praise is for you. At all times, under all conditions. Ya Allah, we seek your assistance and humbly ask your guidance. And we beseech your forgiveness and return to you in repentance. We cherish faith in you and place your trust in you. We attribute all goodness to you and we are grateful to you. Ya Rahmanu Ya Rahim. Ya Allah, kindly give us strength and courage to face the struggle to find and gain knowledge. Kindly bestow blessings, physical and spiritual health, fitness of mind, peace of mind, and strength of spirit. Ya Allah, give strength to our teachers and our leaders to continue to serve for people, society, nation, and religion. Ya Dhal Jalali wal Ikram. Ya Allah, make our country a country with God, the blessing and favor, everlasting peace and prosperity of all time. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل اللهم فينا ولا معنا ولا من يتبعنا شقيا ولا مطرودا ولا محروما اللهم اجعل خير أعمالنا آخره وخير أعمالنا خواتمه وخير أيامنا يوم ألقاك فيه اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين تقبل الله منكم.
Amin ya Rabbil Alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin our program today with the opening speech from Mr. Azrul Izham Hamzah, Deputy Director of Higher Education Leadership Academy, AKEPT, Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Mr. MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Yang bahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Nik Mahiran binti Nik Muhammad, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and International of Universiti Malaysia Kelantan. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Nur Azizi bin Ismail, Professor Malaysian Graduate School of Entrepreneurship and Business, Universiti Malaysia Kelantan. Tuan Sari tak ada lagi. Okay. And also my colleague yang berusaha, Professor Madya Dr. Azila Shakawi, Deputy Director of AKEPT. Ladies and gentlemen, participant of the program today. First and foremost, I would like to convey the salam from Professor Hashita. She will not be able to join us this morning, but inshallah she'll be around later today. This is due to a last minute call up from KPT. She need to be there this morning. They have an really ad hoc program called yesterday evening. Members of the audience, first I would like to extend our sincere gratitude and syukur to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala for allowing us today together in this auditorium of AKEPT to be together in this program called Business Acumen Higher Education Leaders Program. And I would like to warmly welcome each and every one of you to AKEPT. Is there anyone who's probably first time here in AKEPT? Ada? First time here in AKEPT? Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Glad to see. Because we always say that AKEPT is our home. The home of people who are in the higher education sector. We are most welcome participants from be it academicians or the administrator who are in the higher education sector to come together here in AKEPT for us to not only sharing knowledge but also to network, because each and every topic has a very significant functions and roles, especially in what we do in our organization. Sorry, echo sikit. Ada tikus gigit mic ke? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to thank the team from UMK, led by the most able Professor Dr. Nick Mahiran as the project lead to help us to realize this program today. And also for your information, we also have in conjunction together with this program, Unilip program. Tonight we have a convocation tonight. I would like to congratulate the cohort 3. Tonight is your night, right? And we have also have together the cohort 1 and cohort 2 together. So we are celebrating it tonight. But at the same time, we have outside some posters exhibition from 18 participants to showcase their work, what have been done. I was told that these participants for the poster presentation is coming from cohort 1, cohort 2 and cohort 3. So basically this is a 2-in-1 program. So I wouldn't say it a program by Center A or Center B in AKEPT. It is a program by AKEPT for the higher learning institution community. Ladies and gentlemen, today's in today's world, we can see it is very competitive, especially in the higher education landscape. We have to keep up with the changes of political landscape, socio-economic changes, technology development, and it seems like we have been running around in circles. And this is very taxing and sangat-sangat memenatkan, right? So, having this said, we need to keep up with the current mega trends and knowledge. So that is why ACAP as the center or the nucleus for this knowledge sharing session. So as I said, this is our home. You are welcome to come to ACAP for any program that came across our social media. Dah jadi macam influencer ni nak promote social media ACAP. Please follow, like and share ACAP punya Facebook. We have our YouTube channel or Instagram. Some people said Facebook for old people. The younger ones go running on TikTok. I guess probably one day we may have account TikTok for ACAP. But as for now, we have on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on YouTube. So catch up with the latest news, with the latest programs offered by us, so that you are able to, sometimes news didn't come to you directly through emails from departments, but through social media, you can keep yourself alert on this program. This particular program today, we have the main objective is to equip each and every one of you, the participant, with a profound understanding of the importance of developing business acumen, which is one of the important skill that was to be instilled in the higher education industry or sector. As you can see, apart from the budget received from KPT, for example, we need to generate incomes from all sorts of angles. I guess if you can see, the past month, ACAP have launched a module on Izawin, the zakat, endowment, and wakaf module. So this is something that we are taking serious about. So we are expanding the horizon, not only talking about leadership, we're talking about income generation and how can we further deliberate this to the higher education sector. And furthermore, we also aim to expose everyone here, the participant, to the concept of entrepreneurial university development. And today's discussion will encompass several ways for university leaders can actively support startups and spin-off companies. This includes providing resources, facilitating strategic partnership, and offering crucial intellectual property management guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, today, as for the keynote, we are very blessed. We are very honored to have two distinguished figures in higher education, which is first and foremost Professor Dr. Nur Azizi. Thank you very much, sir, for agreeing to be here. That he will share later on the topic of business acumen for higher education institute leaders, steering the entrepreneurship and innovation agenda. Innovation is also important. As you can see, how can we convert innovation or creativity researchers into income? And next, later after Dato' Azizi, we also have Professor Dato' Dr. Ansari as a second keynote speaker, which also addressing another important aspect of the entrepreneurship, which is adopting to technology disruption. As we can see, everything now is on your fingertip, it's on your mobile phone. In a way, COVID is also a bless. We are adapting to technology changes rapidly. We sit at home, ordering food panda, ordering Grab food, without ever have to think nak masak apa hari ni. Even though there's a Facebook page called masak apa tak jadi apa hari ni, something like that, and that is something that keep us sane during COVID. But thanks to technology also, it facilitate our day-to-day life. As you can see, registration of students, in fact, income tax filing also being done, digitalization. Things are getting more and more tech savvy nowadays, and I would strongly say, if one day, satu hari you all tertinggal telefon kat rumah, hati tak keruan, betul kan? I don't think there's any one of us can survive your whole day without your smartphone around. So there is also about adapting technology disruption. So that was part of the second topic that we'll cover. And also, Alhamdulillah, we also have panelists for our forum later today, which will be moderated by Professor Datuk Nik Mahiran herself, and with the panel Datuk Dr. Wahid Omar, no need for the introduction. We also have Dr. Mariani Hamid. Kalau yang tak kenal, Dr. Mariani Hamid adalah penerima Anugerah Akademik Negara tahun 2023 on Product Innovation and Commercialization. So we have the person herself that can share on product innovation and commercialization later. And also we have Dr. Wan Rahana, the VP of Technology Ventures from MTDC. She would probably share on the facilities or the kemudahan yang ada with MTDC on how can you facilitate income generation for the universities. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't mean to talk much. It's not from me. We will have a very insightful and impactful sharing session later with our keynote speakers and panelists. But I would like to emphasize here again, AKEPT have a very important role to develop the leaders of university. When we mention leaders, it's not only the top 4 posts, the VC or TNC or registrar or bursar or treasurer, but also at the mid-level. We need to focus grooming the future leaders starting from now. Those who are at the grade 48, 52, that coming up, the emerging leaders, people like you guys here in the room. Okay, this is why it is important here for us to stick together, share our knowledge, share our experience together, take this advantage, ask a lot of questions to the panelists and also the speakers, so that this will be a convergence of minds or pencambahan fikiran, so that it wouldn't be a one-way traffic. So your experience or your knowledge probably different from the speakers, so it can be shared across the auditorium today. And ladies and gentlemen, as you engage in today's session, again, I would like to encourage everyone to actively participating throughout the day. Inshallah, hopefully this will benefit you. And lastly, before I conclude this speech, again, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to each and every single one of you here for your commitment to advancing the higher education leadership. And today is not just a program, but it's a progressive step towards the future where our universities are becoming the hub of learning and hotbeds of innovation and entrepreneurship. And I would like to thank again the organizer, both from UMK, AKEPT, for making this a reality, and hopefully it will benefit everyone. And last but not least, dengan lafaz Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I would like to declare the business Acumen in Higher Education Leaders Program is officially open. Let us immerse ourselves into this knowledge, collaboration, exploration, and further ado. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mr. Azrul Izham Hamzah, Deputy Director of AKEPT. Members of the floor, for our first keynote session, it is a great honor to introduce the Honorable Professor Dato Dr. Nur Azizi Ismail, Professor from Malaysian Graduate School of Entrepreneurship and Business. Professor Dato Dr. Nur Azizi bin Ismail was a former Vice Chancellor of UMK. He also was the former Deputy Director General for Higher Education in Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. He had won numerous and prestigious awards such as Lecturers Excellence Award, Education Leadership Award, and recently he was one of the Triple E Award finalists for Entrepreneurial Leaders of the Year category. Without further ado, please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Terima kasih pengurusi majlis yang dihormati Prof. Datuk Dr. Nik Mahiran, PNCA, UMK and also the project lead. Encik Azrul Izham, Deputy Director, PM Dr. Azila, Deputy Director AKEPT dan semualah. Kalau di Kelantan kita panggil mudah saja adik kakak. Semua peserta, alhamdulillah. I'm glad to be here. Last time saya berdiri di sini was I think in 2019 bersama Tan Sri Dr. Tengku Mahalil. We discussed also a bit about innovation and financial management. And today I was tasked to try my best to share a little bit about business acumen for university leaders. Saya tertinggal kataan steering the entrepreneurship and innovation agenda. It's not an easy task, to be honest, and the last few days I've spent my time reading the financial reports of Harvard University and US so that I can use that to give a right context of the financial challenges in Malaysia as well, so that we can make some comparisons. So please go to the next slide. Yang mana? Okay. Apa dia bunyi. But it's okay. life is full of challenges. Okay, this is the outline of my presentation today. A little bit about the how to simplify the financial management, and then I will share a bit of tukar. Okay, right. Kau ada apa ni? Ada. Okay, ada, alhamdulillah. So, and then what's next? What are the challenges? And I will touch a little bit about leadership and innovation, which are very important if you want to push forward the entrepreneurship agenda. So, dah ada dua, simple je. Apa ni, financial management ni, first you need to know what is the operating income. Mana datang duit? Okay, the main source of revenue, I will use the word income and revenue interchangeably. Of course, is the tuition and other fees, related fees. That's the main source of income for higher education. And then if we provide scholarships, or sometimes we have to refund the fees, especially during the pandemic. They had the demand from the students that because of whatever, then we have to refund fees. At UMK at that time, I think we refunded few millions back to the students. So we have to subtract that, deduct that from the overall fees so that we can get the net income. And a small portion of that, of the income, came from the interest and maybe the dividend paid by our subsidiary companies, etc., etc. So that probably gave you about 20% of the total operating income. And there are other income like residential fees. Kalau private universities, that is quite, I believe, significant. Kalau kita di IPTA, even the asrama pun been heavily subsidized. And then if you are good, you can offer many training programs. You can get money from that, from consultation, and probably a little bit of royalties from copyright, IPs. Then sedikit give donation in the form of wakaf, zakat, ataupun derma lah. And probably also some sponsorships that we receive. So basically those are the items for operating income. And next is the operating expenses. The biggest chunk is the salaries. Nak bayar gaji. And the rest probably on travelling. Siapa yang suka travel. And some rental if you rent buildings. And of course, we have to pay insurance for our building as well. And pay for the healthcare of our employees and students, marketing, advertising, supplies, equipment. So basically, those are the items for operating expenses. And then, ni nak bagi konteks saja, ingat ramai orang faham ni. Whether we have a surplus or deficit. Tolak sajalah. Operating income minus operating expenses, you get operating surplus or deficit. Kalau tanpa government operating grants, semua IPTA memang deficit. Huge deficit. Okay, then bila kita campur balik government grants, then kita akan dapat the surplus or deficit. Biasanya deficit lah juga, even with the government grants. Kalau dia deficit juga, then kalau kita ada cash reserve, then we have to make use of the cash reserve. Universiti yang tak ada, you have to go and back the KPT and MOF to survive. But of course, you need to make some adjustment lah. Kena campur balik depreciation and amortization so that you can get the cash yang melibatkan cash sahaja. Okay, depreciation is for tangible assets and amortization for intangible assets. I won't go deeper on that. Nanti pening pula. So this is the interesting part, which I hope that, I don't know, I was at the ministry before, but I doubt that we have a good understanding of the financial management. If you ask me, do we have a formula at the KPT? Or do MOF has a formula in distributing the grants or the funds? Saya rasa tak ada pun. It depends on how much KPT receive from the MOF, and the MOF, dia tengok kepada duit yang government ada at that time. During COVID, I think all IPTs dapat ciput because the government doesn't have the money. So yang ni I spent for, I think, a few days trying to study the financial reports and trying to simplify it so that we can understand it. Both are not for-profit organization. They are not for-profit. Okay? Kalau betul-betul private, memang for-profit. But these two, if you read the financial report, they declare it as not for-profit organization. Okay. Apa dia? Operating income for NUS is about 800 million Sing dollar. Kalau Harvard, 1.3 billion US dollar. And then they deduct the scholarship and other students' awards ataupun grants given to the student. Dia dapat net fee dia, kalau NUS 700 million, Harvard 1.1 billion. Campur other income. Kalau NUS about 274 million, Harvard 1.2 billion. So total operating income dia, NUS slightly over 1 billion, Harvard 2.4 billion US dollar. That is the total operating income. Banyak ya. Sebab dia punya scholarship tu 181 juta, far higher than our total operating income di UMK. Kecil tak kecil kita. And then let's look at the operating expenditures. NUS paid more than 1 billion, 1.14 billion Sing dollar on salaries and employee benefits. Kalau dalam ringgit itu berapa bilion tu? Kalilah sekarang berapa? 3 lebih kan? 3.5 something. Harvard is about 3 billion on salaries and wages. So kalau nak kaya, jadilah pensyarah kat sana. And the other expenses, 583 million by NUS, and Harvard 2.25 billion. And then the other depreciation and amortization. So total operating expenses The NUS is about 1.8 billion. Harvard 5.7 billion. Far higher than dia punya operating income. So, dua universiti ini memang top in the world. Without government grants and other revenue, they are actually running on deficit. Okay, kita tengok pula. Ada lagi satu. Tak ada lama dah. Okay. So, kalau kita lihat kat situ, NUS dia punya deficit dia 700 million. 771. And then Harvard 3.3 billion deficit. Cuma dia orang ni, dia ada big endowment which they invest. Cuma yang NUS tu dia negatif lah, dia making loss. This is special case for 2023. Biasanya dia orang making profit. I look back at 2022 and 2021, they are making more than 100 or 200 million profit. But due to whatever reason, they are experiencing quite a big loss in 2023. Tapi Harvard generated 2.4 billion from all those endowment. Harvard ada dalam lebih kurang 50 billion plus endowment fund, which generated 2.4 billion in the form of interest and dividends. Okay, on top of that, NUS received 760 million grants, operating grants. I'm not talking about capital ataupun development grants, no. Operating grants. Received 760 million and Harvard slightly more than 1 billion. So kalau kita lihat di situ, even after all those income from investment and government grants, NUS is still experiencing more than 200 million Sing dollar deficit. Harvard sikit saja surplus. So this is the context. Dan saya pernah jadi board member dalam MISI. MISI is Malaysian Institute for Supply Chain and Innovation, a joint collaboration between Malaysian government through UiTM and MIT. So saya tengoklah dia punya financial report sebab saya accounting. They are also making big, huge deficit, whereby MOF need to pump in the money. Where are the most expenses go? Paying lecturers from MIT. Walaupun fee dia tinggi, fee dia tak subsidize. Kalau if you do a masters in supply chain innovation, for a 10 months program, they will charge you 97,000 ringgit. So, saya harap dapat konteks yang itu. Jadinya, scenario. My presentation probably a bit biased towards IPTA. There are, few differences with IPTS, but of course there are also similarities. And I'm sure that Dr. Ansari will represent the IPTS more after this. I put it as myth. Masa saya di KPT, saya terlibatlah dalam kita punya negotiation with MOF, EPU to ensure that KPT receive the biggest grant that we can get from MOF or EPU. So from their perspective, and sometimes even KPT, IPTA's need is rather poor in financial management. Tak kerti cari duit. kurang pandai. And sometimes people said that we rely too much on the government grants. So I put it as a myth. True or not, let us explore. Bear in mind what I have shared with you about the NUS and the Harvard. One thing is that unlike NUS and Harvard, where the tuition fees is not being subsidized, very, very expensive. At our local universities, public universities, between 80 and 90% of the fees for undergraduate are heavily subsidized. True or not? Anak saya, I have my daughter studied at USM. Dia bayar a 3-year program, a degree, 3-year program, 1,000 satu semester. 6 semester, 6,000. Adik dia, anak lelaki saya, belajar di MMU. Almost similar, 3-year degree program. 1 year, 20,000. 3 years, 60,000. So my daughter is only paying 10% of what my son has to pay at MMU. So in that regard, kalau kita nak compare the fee at USM, if we compare with MMU, been 90% subsidized. Okay. And the IPTA, asrama, kalau UMK, student bayar lebih kurang, maybe Prof. Datuk Nick can confirm, around 400 ringgit per semester. Kalau di private, ni bukan bilik seorang ni, kongsi 4. 600 ringgit a month. So, yuran asrama also been highly subsidized. Okay, that is the scenario, the reality. So back to the question is that, do government operating grants that IPTA receive compensate the amount of fees that are being subsidized? Siapa boleh jawab? Agak-agak lah. Saya tak kata yes, saya tak kata no. Cuma saya kata, if the answer is no, what are the alternative source of income that universities should focus on? That's the challenge that we have to address today. It's not easy. Jadi VC pening lah. Orang kata tak kerti cari PT. That is our core business is that undergraduate, postgraduate. That's where the main source of income. Okay, let's look at UMK sikit lah. Pakar-pakar tengok lah yang UMK pun ada. Saya perasan. This data was extracted from audited financial report. Saya ambil tahun 2018. Alah, tu bit Kelantan dah. So, dia tak boleh semangat. Oh, semangat dia. Okay. 2018 sampai 2022. Right? Kalau, if you look at the tuition fees, not much compared to other bigger IPTAs, but you can see the increment of the tuition fees. Cuma yang tuition fees itu is the net fee. Okay, because in 2020 and 2021, kita bagi balik kepada student a few million. So the actual fee is actually higher than that. But ini data ni saya tak nak banyak sangat, jadi saya dah ambil the net tuition fee. And then we have other income. Yeah, the income ni mostly from the fixed deposit that we put in a bank. We receive the apa ni interest haram, tapi kita letak dalam Islamic bank lah. And I think we are not that lucky that, saya ingat tahun bila je kita dapat sikit daripada dividend daripada our subsidiary companies, because subsidiary companies also not making much profit. Dia pun tak boleh nak bayar dividend, but doesn't matter. So total operating income on the third row, you can have a look. And then you look at the operating expenses. Okay, my time as the VC was 2019 until end of August 2021. Tak cukup 3 tahun, adik kakak. Tak apa. So that, and 2020 and 2021, we were hit hard by COVID. Of course, we reduced the mostly traveling expenses. Kita save kat situ. But we also lost in terms of the tuition fees, which we have to give back, small portion of it back to the students. I don't know what was spent on 2022, sebab kita spend banyak, 161 million. Okay, we tried to save money those 3 years, maximize. Nanti saya akan cerita pasal OBB sikit. Ada mitos yang mengatakan pembaziran berlaku during 2019 to 2021. So I presented the audited financial report for everyone to see. The biggest money that we spent was in 2022, not during those years. So that's a operating deficit. And the money, the grants that we receive, as I said, it depends on how much KPT receive from the government, and it depends also on how much the government has money on that particular year. We received the lowest grants in 2020 during the pandemic, less than 100 million. So if you want to do some calculation, roughly our fee is like subsidized by 85%. Sebab fee kita agak tinggi sikit. Okay, been subsidized roughly by 85%. So kalau you divide the tuition fees dengan 0.25, you will get how much the government should compensate us for that subsidy. But doesn't matter. So kita surplus hanya pada 2022 because we are lucky to receive 128 million from the government. Kalau kita dapat amount yang sama pada tahun 2020 dan 2021, we are going to have a big deficit as well. So jadi kadang-kadang how you're going to manage this financial when you don't know how much you're going to get from the government, for example, unless it is guaranteed that you will get a minimum of subsidized amount, then you can plan ahead. That is the challenge. Tak apalah, yang tu I just want to share a bit about this. Okay. So what's next? What can we do? Nak buat apa? Kalau orang-orang besar dia kata generate new income. You have to be innovative. Lalu habis rambut kita fikir. Oh, dia kata reduce the expenses. Use or adopt or apply OBB. Itu kata pembesar-pembesar. Okay, let's look. How can we explore it? Okay. I try to do this, This one I also extract from the Harvard Financial Report, the latest one, 2023. Sebab dia punya fiscal year ended March. Kita fiscal year ended December. Jadi, inilah. This is the very latest info. Kalau kita tengok situ, only 22% of the fees came from undergraduate. Sebab dia student di Harvard ni 7,000 sahaja undergraduate. Graduate student or postgraduate 14,000. Mana undergraduate student only half of the total number of postgraduate. Tapi dia banyak generate income from postgraduate and professional degree programs. Yang kita pergi tu, visi-visi kita lah. Kalau pergi kursus sebulan, bayar 250,000. Itu contoh dia lah. Ngaji balik dengan harapan jadi cerdik belaka. Okay, and then we have continuing education and executive programs, which contribute about 29%. Yang tadi 37%. And of course, dia punya asrama pun mahal. Board and lodging. Board and lodging ini, dia bukan untuk student duduk masa undergraduate duduk masa semester saja. When they organize the short training, executive training pun dia charge pretty high on that accommodation. So you get that ni lah, okay, context dia. Kalau kita tengok, what are other revenue or income, source of revenue income? Okay, Harvard generated close to 300 million from publication and royalties from copyright. Ni contohnya case study. Satu case study, books, even t-shirt, whatever. Yang dia ada copyright, that give the income. Kalau di Stanford, dia jual CD. They organize in Stanford, it has like, Stanford organized a 45-minute breakfast series. Dia panggil CEO, dia ambil video, dia jual balik. Berpuluh ribu satu set. That's how they generate income. Ni pun kalau nak jual, kita punya talk bagi ni, tak laku rasanya. Kalau yang university organizer that you take a video, can you sell it? We have to find a way. And then royalties from commercialization of IPs, which give like almost 60 million. And then ada banyak lah. Rental, parking, services, blah, blah, blah. Total almost 800 million. So what are the lessons that we can learn from this? Apa yang kita tak biasa buat di tempat kita yang probably we can explore to generate the income. Write case studies. I have a coffee chat with Professor Richard Victor way back in 2014. Richard Victor, dia tak tulis jurnal. I remember he told me that at Harvard, we have three types of professors. One professor who wrote and published in top ranked journals. They don't care about Q1. Yang betul-betul top. Q1 doesn't mean dia bagus. Okay, itu yang pertama. Yang kedua dia kata, professors who write and publish hot seller books. John Cotter, for example. And me, dia kata, I don't do both, but I write case studies. And he told me, why? I tanya why. Dia kata apa? Dia kata apa, Cik? Dia kata, you know what? The royalties that I get, what do you get by publishing in academic journal? You got nothing. If you if you publish books, you get royalties as long as people buy your book. And I wrote case studies. I still receive royalties from the case study that I published from 30 years back. So on top of the high salaries, they are also making good money for themselves and also for the universities. Kalau kita tulis case study, orang nak jual, orang nak beli. Pula. Okay. Okay, that is a challenge. If we have yet to reach that level, we have to strive to be at that level. So what I can conclude or summarize is this. If our focus is on the undergraduate, we may need to explore, attract more postgraduate students. Sebab undergraduate pun kita ada limit, the maximum capacity that we can take at a particular university. And also international students, because these two are lowly subsidized or non-subsidized. We need to explore micro-credentials. Banyak universiti cakap kita ada banyak micro-credential. Di UNK pun dia kata ada. Masa saya visit, saya tanya boleh jual ke tak? I don't care about ada. Can we sell? No. So make it sellable. How can you sell a low quality product? Nobody will buy. And I have studied, when I look, I always receive emails from Emeritus, from Coursera, from Udemy. Kalau NUS, Harvard, INSEAD, they collaborate with Emeritus because Emeritus, they always offer a high level of short courses online. How much they make from this? 2 months, 4 hours a week, 2 months program, you kali lah. 2 bulan, 8 minggu, 8 kali 4, 32 jam. They charge you between 2004 until 2008 US dollar. So saya carilah juga. Is there any short courses from our local universities? No. So that is a challenge for us. Executive training programs. Berapa ramai banyak universiti yang boleh generate income from this? That you can sell openly. Individuals, participant or company talent programs. Tak ada juga. How many income do we generate from consultancy services? Siapa nak employ kita? I gave a talk at UUF, I think last month. How are you going to sell your expertise to the industry? Do they care that you are the 2% scientists? That I have published hundreds of Q1 papers? No. So the marketing approach has to be different. Do you have what it takes to sell that? And I'm throwing the challenge. Commercialization of copyrights and IPs. Tak ada sangat lagi lah. Ada kejayaan. I don't want to be too negative. There are some success stories, but we are still far away. I remember when I was at Kementerian, at that time I was TKP. So I tried to help universities to commercialize their research product. So there's one time I get a top researcher who won awards, international, local. He came up with one product. So bawa dia pergi jumpa CEO of one company, Velcro. Dia buat robotik. So he presented to the Velcro top management, chaired by the group CEO, who happened to be my good friend. Dia pun present lah, robot dia ni boleh buat gini, boleh notch, boleh apa semua. Notch tu lompat lah. dalam bahasa supaya anda tuan-tuan tidak mengantuk. Kita ni dah semangat, tak habis masa dah lah. Okay. So the first question that the group CEO asked, you know what? Dia kata, Prof pernah masuk ke ladang Velcra. Jadi kawan ni pun, dok lagi tu. So how come you came up with a robot to solve the problem that Velda face? Dan dia kata, robot you ni, kalau masuk ladang Velcra, tak ada 10 lakah nunginyo. Nunginyo ni apa bahasa standard kita? Rebah terlentang. Dia kata. This is true. I'm not making this up. So dia kata, I would like to invite you to visit our farm. Because the landscape of Velda and Velcra are very different. Velda punya landscape normally dia landai. Velcra dia gini. So itu balik. The challenge is that how can we make our research relevant? And then subsidiary companies, endowment. Endowment easier said than done lah. Dia banyak cerita pula nanti kita tak, kita nak apa habis juga ni. Berapa minit lagi ada? 10 ya? Ingat kan sejam lagi. Aduh. Okay. I want to touch a little bit about OBB. This is very, very important. Ramai tak faham pun. Okay, when I show you the operating expenses, blah, 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 that we reduced from 2019 to 2021, etc., that does not end there. But what you make the money, how do you maximize the money to achieve your educational goals? What I can tell you is that during those years, Prof. Datuk Nik Mahiran pun ada dalam team. With the smaller money that we spend, we achieve more. In some areas, more than triple the achievement. Because we align our resource allocation with the intended outcomes. Saya ingat ramai orang marah saya. Saya masuk sebulan ke 2 bulan Prof ni. Saya study financial lah sebab saya suka tengok PTs. And then I believe that because it was budgeted before I joined. I joined in January. The budget was prepared in 2018. I think that the money that we allocate to all these faculties departments berlebihan. Jadi saya panggil semualah ketua-ketua PTJ ni. Saya kata, you go back, I give you 2 weeks. You outline what you want to achieve in 2019 and how much money that you actually need to do that, to achieve that. Any extra money, give back to the university. Daripada masa itu 9 fakulti rasanya. 7 pulang balik. So I collected 2 million. 2 tak mau pulang. Okay, tak apa, kita tak paksa. So we arrange a presentation, justify that you need that much. Bila disuruh kena justify dia pun, bagilah balik 800,000, boleh 2.8 juta. Because the money that you actually need is actually much less than you thought. If you use the OBB, it's about the alignment with the KPIs, the outcomes. And that year, we increased our graduate entrepreneurs from 2.8% to 12.8%. And the following year, we increased to 14.8%. Traveling memang kurang lah. Ada satu proposal. Nak pergi Indonesia. 10 hari, 7 hari. Kita buat berapa ramai? Can you justify that? Lah, awak perlu pergi hanya 2 saja. 3 hari saja. So you see how much we wasted our money. Nak bincang pergi hotel buat apa? Contohnya, you go to any private universities, you go to any private companies, the discussions that we need to have it at the hotels can easily be done in your bloody office room. So that's how, and yet we are based on perceptions. Kan, jadi, apalah, waktu tu, hanya cerita semangat pula dah. OBB success factors. Okay, to do OBB, you really need to understand what OBB is all about, how to make it a success. You must have a clear outcomes, what you want to achieve. You cannot have too many outcomes. It has to be focused, specific. That's what we call SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. You must have the timeline. Must be data driven. Bukan perception kita. Most of the time we make decisions based on perception, which most of the time are wrong. Of course, stakeholder engagement, you need to get buy-in from the board, etc., etc. And how do you track the performance? You engage, kita tengok, you ada majlis kualiti? Ada. On paper, yes. Bila last meeting? 2017. Lepas pelancaran, mampu. You know, this kind of thing, then how do you measure? Because you need to measure the track, the progress every quarter to make sure that OBB works. And what do you learn if you do not achieve? Okay, so jadi banyaklah. Nanti tengoklah belajar sendiri. Lagu mana? Challenge. Pertama sekali. Okay, if you really want to generate income from consultancy, from executive education, etc., we need to reskill and upskill our lecturers. They don't care about your PhD, man. Seriously. You must be able to talk the business language. How many of us lecturers yang involved dengan industry, they can speak the language? If you don't, you go and learn. Saya banyak terlibat. I consider myself as lucky since I was a young lecturer. The world is different. So you really need to upskill, reskill yourself. And that's lack of confidence. Why? They don't confident. They tak ada trust on us. Then we cannot sell. Prepare paperwork pun macam buat proposal research. Maaf. Tak lagi lah apa. And go straight to the point. If you cannot convince within 5 minutes, you cannot sell. People don't have the time to listen to your presentation. Seriously. Saya pernah ada satu kes UUM. Saya sebut UUM lebih sikit lah. Chan, sahabat lama. Ada satu kes, saya TNCP NI di UUM pada ketika itu. Kita dapat job from one big company. Bila siap, the company refused to pay. Not a single cent. Jadi saya pun diberi tugas baru je jadi TNC. Kita pun tengok. Saya pun tengoklah report yang kita buat tu. Saya pergi jumpa VC. VC nak sama. Dia kata, boh, tak payah sama lah boh. Buat malu kita je. Sebab report kita ni pun parok, berat. So what I'm trying to say is that we don't have what it takes. We really need to upskill. Macam mungkin tahu Ernst & Young punya project. Dia kata apa? If you want to bring it to the court, we want to sue us, go ahead. But we're not going to pay you a single cent. Because what you gave us is just rubbish. That's one case, quite extreme. And then there's competition. You know, if you're talking about HRDF funds, I study, there are about 700 million funds available. And 400 million funds been used. There are many more funds. Can we compete with those outside? Banyak tu beratus training providers. Do we have what it takes to compete with them? Opportunities abundant. Consultancy. Consultancy is quite luxury. You know, I give you one simple. I work, you know, as a specialist consultant with one firm. 3 months job, 1 million. Rule of thumb. That company got 6 month job, 2 million. But of course, to get that, it's not easy. You have to deliver. The risk is very high. If you do not deliver, you can be sued. So, catch it senang. Cakap senang. You know, I'm throwing out the challenge. Kemudian, reward system is biased too much towards academic. Siapa nak buat mana ni, they're not being recognized. Kalau, you know, itu pun kena tengok. There must be some strong political will from the VCs, from the board to change a bit. You need to have a special track for that. And I would say the strict MQA KPT regulation, probably. Saya banyak juga advise UMPSA. UMPSA lost about 20 million from professional degree programs. As the executive program, diploma executive, blah, blah, blah. Sebab MQA kata tak boleh. MQA tak recognize. But that program is meant for industry. Industry doesn't need MQA recognition. So kena ada a bit of liberalization from our regulators. If you want to dictate everything, then it's hard to grow. That's a challenge that I'm going to throw. Saya tak tahu ada wakil MQA atau KPT dalam ni. Itu kena tengok. Ya, kita bercakap gini-gini tapi tak baik. Lack of funding for research and commercialization activities. Reality is about only 5% of the patented products from research that can be commercialized. Only 5% will be the jackpot. And we need funding for product validation. Dia tak boleh terus nak pergi market. How do you do the product validation? So you need to have end-to-end ecosystem. Talking about endowment, public endowment. Public awareness is pretty much very low. How many philanthropists do we have other than Tan Sri Azman Hashim? Semua orang pergi jumpa Tan Sri Azman Hashim. Kalau di Harvard, Oxford, kita tengok siapa yang bagi dana tu. Saya pergi ke IMD dan sebagainya. Kadang-kadang ada satu orang kaya, hantar anak dia belajar. Anak dia jadi sangat berjaya kerana menghargai bagusnya universiti itu menjadikan anak dia seorang yang sangat berjaya, dia pun bagilah berapa puluh juta. That's how they collect. Kalau kita we go and beg for it, there are two ways, you know. What we are doing now, we go and beg. Harvard don't beg. People come to those institutions to give the money because of the quality that they provide. We haven't reached that level yet. Kita bolehlah sikit-sikit. UPM is one of the success stories. Berapa puluh juta dapat. Congratulations. But that is pretty much small. Yang ada lain, UMK, ada Maybank 3 juta. Tu je lah. UUM, CIMBW apa 3 juta dah. Dulu. So we haven't reached yang begitu. Dan juga kadang financial literacy among HEI leaders. Ramai tak kerti pun. Kurang faham. Jadi bila bercakap, berdasarkan persepsi. 5 minit lagi boh. Saya nak start. Last 2 weeks, I was with Tan Sri Idris Yusof. Dia ajak saya ke Besut Terengganu. Kebetulan dia balik. Dia jamu nasi dagang. And we have a discussion about success. Kejayaan yang dipermudahkan. Kejayaan yang diberkati. That is the theme of our discussion. There are 5 takeaways that I can take from my conversation with him. To be a leader, you must be able to think. In order to think, you must have the knowledge. Kena baca banyak. If you don't read a minimum of 20 books a year, I think you are not ready yet to be a leader. Ramai kata sibuk. Tak ada masa nak baca. Awak jadi sibuk sebab awak tak ada ilmu. Kalau awak ada ilmu, you can manage it well. And you need experience. How can you get experience? By executing things. You need to act, bukan bercakap. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam menarik orang kepada agama kita bukan dengan preaching, by giving good examples. But we have good preachers who are leading us, not the doers. Okay, tak apa tu, semangat. Lama jadi benda lain. Okay, and then communication. You must have the ability to speak, to convey, to engage, to make sure that people understand. And being a leader, I want to touch a bit. The world is changed by crazy people, by crazy leaders. And to bring change, you must be ready to be misunderstood. Berapa ramai berani? When people hate you, you go and hug them. Yesterday, saya ni suka baca buku. Saya bawa lah buku, mari. Very good book. Bacalah, tuan-tuan. The Courage to be Disliked. By Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. The Courage to be Disliked. If you want to be a great leader. Dan Tan Sri bagi tahu, we need to understand hukum alam. It relates to the bell curve. Kalau siapa dalam information system, apa dia tahu? Diffusion innovation theory. Because who actually drive the change is only 3.5% or 2.5%. We don't need many. Those with the brain to push forward. And then we need the early adopters. Itu dipanggil critical mass. If we don't get the critical mass, apa yang kita nak buat, benda pelik yang kita nak buat, tak akan jalan. Dan dalam konsep kita kena faham juga Pareto Principle. Dia sebenarnya dalam Quran pun ada benda-benda macam ni. Tapi kita lupa lah, kita nak sebut Pareto lah, kita nak sebut bell curve, kita nak sebut diffusion innovation theory. Because the world is about balance. Ada hak cerdik, ada hak bodoh. Ada hak berani, ada hak penakut. Ada hak ambil jalan selamat saja. Naik bawah ni dia kepah ni, naik bawah ni dia kepah ni. Hak tu ada di tengah, ramai sekali. But those who drive institution are that 15%, the mass, critical mass. The last one is good intention. People judge us, not we who say that we are good. Yang mengatakan kita insan pilihan Tuhan. It's not us. Sebab itu dia kena ada keberkatan, tuan-tuan. Jadi dengan itu, Sadaqallahul Azim, saya minta maaf kalau ada salah silap tercakap. Terima kasih.
Thank you to Prof. Datuk. So, any question to Prof. Datuk? One or two questions from the audience?
Pahal belakang dah. Tak ada deh. Ada. Sila.
be adventurous and more on cost saving lah. But what if what if our top management insists on driving the university and giving absolutely bombastic idea where we ourselves think that is not feasible, and to convince the top management in investing this based on OBB ni, how do you think is the best way to approach the board to ensure them that okay, we want to do this OBB, is not feasible enough, track record pun dah kata dah this investment or this thing is not worth it. What do you think, Prof Datuk, the best way to convince them to drop the project to make sure that it is feasible and it is OBB based lah?
Dia sebenarnya tak payah sangat pun. How do you prepare it? How do you justify things? If you do it based on data, any reasonable person would believe you. Tapi kadang-kadang kita, based on my experience lah, saya jadi dekan 7 tahun, TNC, TKP, VC. Bila most of the paperwork that been rejected are not done well, tak masuk. Kita balik perah pening kepala. Itu satu. Yang kedua, you have to understand that the management of compromise tadi. How you going to communicate that? How you going to engage that? How you want to get the buy-in from the boss? The hardest paperwork, kalau nak bawa masuk LPU, siapa pertama, of course, you need to get the buy-in from the chairman. Dalam board itu, siapa yang paling ganah sekali, paling susah. Sebelum bawa tu, go and brief them. Kita bagi training kepada JPA ini juga. Dan macam lagi satu yang biasa, kalau grup JPA dia kata macam mana kita nak sampaikan idea yang kita rasa sangat baik kepada top management. That preparation. Kadang-kadang satu dekan, satu contoh saya nak bagi, bawa dalam sanet, dalam JPU. Sebab leadership ni dia ada 3. Satu top down, satu bottom up, satu side leadership. Side leadership is that you need to get the support from your dean's colleague in that particular meeting. Kalau semua ada care, support you, setuju. VC sorry tak setuju. Memang gelabah juga dia. Seriously. That's what we call side leadership. You need to get the support from this. Kalau rakan dekan nak kerja lain, nak mampu kita, it won't work. Seko semut, memang mati. Apa semut amal bagi ketik kaki kita, lari kita. So that is the benda macam ni lah. Kan? Jadi kitalah adik kakak. Ada soalan lain? Ada lagi? Sila.
Banyak perkara yang kita sebenarnya institusi di bawah kerajaan negeri melalui Yayasan Bahang. Jadi apa yang Prof Datuk nyatakan tadi banyak kebenaran dia, especially kalau kita tengok dalam konteks income penjanaan pendapatan, pembelanjaan sebagainya dari atas shareholder, kita punya board sebagainya, memang kata tambah pendapatan, kurangkan pembelanjaan, reduce cost, generate more incomes. Itu biasa. Kita ada inisiatif pernah buat untuk program eksekutif for example. But then kita masih ada sebagaimana yang berlaku dekat UMPSA juga. At last kita terpaksa tutup program-program kita tu, even though we know that that contribute as our other incomes that can membolehkan kita apa benda ni survive, for example. Tapi itu adalah masalah. Isu dia sekarang adalah bila benda tu dia terlibat dengan apa industri nak dan apa yang kita sebagai institusi boleh provide. Kita provide apa benda program-program yang kita kata perlu dapat kelulusan MQA, for example. Dan industri mereka tak perlukan benda-benda tu, sebagaimana yang Prof Datuk nyatakan tadi, which is betul. Dilema tu kat mana penyelesaian dia, yang kalau kita kata ada jalan sebagai contoh ataupun perkara-perkara lain juga.
Dia kadang-kadang, you know, the battle is not easy. You know, the fight can take some time. But kita sepatutnya ada contohnya kan, kalau melibatkan isu yang sebegitu, kita boleh melalui jawatankuasa TNC, melalui jawatankuasa Naib Chancellor, that pressure and push for that. Dan kita ada juga jawatankuasa pengurusi lembaga pengarah. So kalau the commitment from that is solid enough, macam kalau dalam private university you have your own group, and if we can join force with the public universities, for example, push that forward on certain type of program, professional non-degree programs, seharusnya dipulangkan kepada university. Let the market decide. If that program is bad, low quality, people won't take it. Tetapi kalau yang degree program dan sebagainya itu tak apalah. We can comply with the MQA dan sebagainya. Jadi the concept of autonomy, walaupun kita bercakap pasal autonomy, but what actually jadi saya mengharapkan kita perlu ada keberanian untuk kita berdiri, bukan kita nak melawan apa semua, tetapi you know, to fight that. This is for the sake of the institution, for the sake of the people and the nation. Tapi dia tidak mudah lah. Dia tidak mudah. Saya harap ada orang MKA hari ni. Kalau ada, kita nak bagi lebih lagi. Contohnya. Saya pernah berada di sana. Kadang-kadang kita ada contohnya kan. 2 kali setahun kita ada meeting antara KPT dan MQA yang di co-chair by KP and CEO MQA. Nah, kita boleh bawa ke situ. Tapi yang nak push KP itu ialah daripada jawatankuasa Naib Chancellor. Dan Chancellor mungkin VC tak tahu kena datang push by jawatankuasa timbalan Naib Chancellor Academic. So that is the process. Dan kalau tolak sekali, jangan kita merajuk. Lawan lagi. Improvise. Kalau perias sekali menang selalu. Kadang-kadang saya cakap Kelantan tu. Bagi supaya dia orang tak tidur. Okey, ada soalan lain? Ada lagi ni. Maknanya kita berjaya lah mencuit. Okey. Kawan lama kan daripada UUM. Okey. Tak apa, ya tempik je. Boleh dengar.
Jauriah daripada UUM. Saya memang tertarik, Datuk punya, what are you presented just now? Everything you put all this, you list down all this challenge, and you talk how to even to get the income generation for the university. Dan Datuk dengan berani je bercakap, dan memang we need to do something, Bila Datuk list down everything, memang saya fikir pun memang sakit, Datuk. Saya merasakan bahawa education perlukan satu transformation, bukan saja peringkat KPT, bukan peringkat, memang di peringkat negara. Saya merasakan bahawa adakah perlu universiti menjadi income generation? Adakah perlu universiti to create this income generation? dan menyebabkan, dan you say that most of the academicians are not entrepreneurial mindset. How can they generate income to the university even they are not?
Hak tu kena ubah tu.
That's why lah. That's why saya melihatkan benda tu Datuk selalu besar dah. Saya suka keberanian Datuk. Memang kita perlukan orang-orang yang berani untuk mengatakan actually sampai masanya kita transform. Adakah kita mikirkan inikah education yang kita nak? Adakah kita selama ni berpuluh tahun, 60 tahun merdeka, kita sebenarnya tersilap jalan. Kita perlukan jalan yang baru, yang perlu buat yang lebih kritikal, yang lebih berani. Adakah, dan kita academician actually, like you say, kita bercakap dengan fakta. Kita bercakap bukan dengan sentiment. Kita tak sepatutnya cakap dengan sentiment. People like us talk about collecting data, everything, so now we have brain. Kita sepatutnya come up dengan all the figures and make sure that now we are supposed to go this way, not that way. Datuk, can you saya punya saya punya cadangan that I really impressed. No, Datuk, you kena lebih berani, maybe lead this to go further. Terima kasih Datuk.
Ya, dia banyak satu keberanian. Yang kedua, Tok Guru saya dulu cakap lah. Tadi pun pagi tadi ada orang pesan kat saya. You need to behave sikit. Be nice. Say things with a smile, even though it's pahit. But we have to say it. And in order to grow, to improve, we need to admit the mistakes that we make. Macam saya kata, sometimes I'm a bit critical with the academician. Bukannya saya rasa saya hebat, no. Because we have to challenge ourselves. Bila saya pergi ke industri, I tell you that. I engage with the industry since 2005. You know, at that time kita buat consultation with the GLCs, MNCs, etc. We learn a lot that during that time that I realized what we teach at the university are not the right way. Sometimes. Quite recently, I engaged with one consulting job. Saya dipanggil sebagai specialist consultant. Nama aja specialist consultant, but I can tell you that I learn more than what I give. The real world out there is different. So if we want to be in that, if we are not at that level, how can we nurture students that can meet the need of the industry? If we are just sitting in your room producing 10, 20 papers a year. Satu soalan, saya masuk UMK 7 Januari 2019. My first month, I have a walkabout di semua fakulti. Saya pergi fakulti keusahawanan. Saya tanya, berapa ramai pensyarah keusahawanan? Pakai akad tangan belakang. In your phone, how many entrepreneurs contact that you have that you can call them at any time? How can you teach entrepreneurship if you don't know entrepreneurs out there? I have more than you. I mean, this is the reality that we have to admit and change. You ngajar entrepreneurship berapa? How can we invite them to our class if we don't know any one of them? They are close to you, that you can call for a coffee at any time. Do we have that? Kerana kita ni syok sendiri ngajar. Alah-alah, jual tudung. No, with due respect. Takkan nak jual tudung, tak masuk universiti. If that what we teach our entrepreneurship to our student. We should think more innovation-driven entrepreneurship backed by science and technology. That's what the nation needs. Tapi kita balik, do reflection. Do we have the right ecosystem? Berapa ramai pergi ngaji, tengok. Saya last 2 weeks, I spent the whole week study the ecosystem at MIT. What they have, what we don't have. Let's try to do it. How many of us allocate the time for that? So these are big challenge for us. Really big challenge. And we need to have a strong political will to bring the change, the leader. Ada hok kecek pasal ranking. Kadang-kadang saya tergelak juga. You need good ranking. Nothing wrong with the ranking. What's wrong is that you are not being relevant. You play the game. Yang bercakap kutuk ranking pun, orang yang bercakap tu berani ke tak? To declare that I withdraw my university from all those ranking. Tak buat juga. Hak ni kita nak kata. What's wrong? Kita secara jujur, kita tengok. What's wrong? It's not the ranking. Sebab kita main. Kita bayar. Kalau semua orang buat dengan jujur, dengan baik, and research that we do, and the paper that we publish are relevant, we are okay. Because that will reflect the true sense of the ranking. The problem now is that the ranking does not reflect your true quality. So we need to fix that. Jadi adik kakak, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Padahlah.
Thank you to Prof. Datuk. As a token of appreciation, we would like to invite Mr. Azrul, accompanied by Prof. Datuk Nik Mahiran, to present an honorary gift to Prof. Datuk Dr. Nur Azizi. Thank you once again to Prof. Datuk Dr. Nur Azizi for that thoughtful and incisive speech. So we're going to have our short tea break. Before that, I would like to invite all participants to get a group photo session with Prof. Datuk Dr. Nur Azizi. Please, all participants can gather at the center of the stage. Please, all participants gather at the center. Thank you. So everyone can have a short tea break. Please return at around 11:10.